What's up, Tailgaters? You're in the booth with Tailgate Nate today. Welcome to my channel and welcome to some more Week 1 preview and predictions. So I'm just going to keep pumping these things out for you guys. We got two more on slate for you this evening, and there's some of the bigger matchups that you're going to see taking place on Saturday in Week 1 of the college football season, and there is no bigger one potentially to talk about than the game that's going to end up being the site of College Game Day. We're traveling to College Station, Texas. It's the Notre Dame Fighting Irish and the Texas A&M Aggies. Ooh, this should be a good one from College Station. We'll talk about everything to do with the Irish and Aggies here in a minute. But before we do that, you guys know I have to thank you so much for all the love and support you've shown this channel throughout prediction season and continuing as we head into the first full slate of college football games. And continue to show your support for the channel, please. I want to see this train keep on rolling down the tracks. Like, comment, share. If you're as big of a college football nerd as me, you got to hit the subscribe button. You got to ring the bell so you know when I upload literally anything onto my channel. And if you want to follow my journey to become a sports media professional, you're interested in a little bit more than YouTube, and you want to know what else I do, go give me a follow on Twitter at TailgateNate29. Be posting a lot of things there. So again, if you want to keep up with more than just my journey as a content creator here on YouTube, you can go over there, give me some support. I would greatly appreciate it. Whatever you guys may happen to do, just thank you for watching this video and for supporting me, for supporting this channel. But now let's dive on into the Irish and the Aggies. And in case you haven't seen one of my videos before, what we do is we go through what sort of my keys to the game are when each team has the football. So we'll go ahead and take a look at the Irish offense versus the Aggie defense, and then we'll totally flip that. We will go with the Aggie offense versus the Irish defense, and we'll just sort of talk about some points, and at the end of the video, we'll go through, I'll wrap it up a little bit more, and give you my official prediction for what I think is going to happen during this game. It should be a good one from College Station. Let's go ahead and dive on into it. We will start with what happens when Notre Dame has the football. This is a top 25 versus top 25 matchup. Notre Dame coming into the season number 7, and Texas A&M coming into the season ranked 20th. So you know that this is going to end up being a pretty fun game here. And Notre Dame had a pretty solid offense last season. Texas A&M had a really good defense last year. And this is just going to be an interesting battle on this side of the ball specifically. Yes, the other side of the ball as well. But again, we'll get to that when we get there. It was Sam Hartman last year for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish that was able to lead this attack. And yeah, there were a couple games that not everything clicked with this Irish offense, but they had a lot of young wide receivers last year and yet some experience on the offensive line and in the running back room. Well, you lose a lot of pieces from last year. You're going to be losing Sam Hartman. He's obviously gone off now to the NFL. So is Audric Estime and a lot of those pieces on the offensive line. Fisher and Alt and just other really talented players. I think even their rising young star in the offensive line room, whose name I will get here in just 1 minute, is going to be out for the season due to a knee injury or leg injury or something of sort. I'm blanking on his name, but he was going to be a huge part to the offensive line, and Notre Dame will be without him. So what is going to change for Notre Dame's offense this season? Probably not a whole lot. It's going to be a team that's still going to like to run the football. They got a lot of talented running backs back there. Again, they are pretty young, but Jeremiah Love, a true sophomore, Jadarian Price, a redshirt sophomore. You do have Anais Williams, as well as Devin Ford, who's a grad transfer. Williams is that of just a freshman. It's a young but really talented running back room. Notre Dame's still going to want to run the football, but Marcus Freeman's group is going to pass this year because my first big key is I think Riley Leonard and this wide receiver core are going to end up leading the charge. The technical correct spelling is now on screen, but I do think that this is the wide receiver room, and again, pairing with the quarterback from Duke and Riley Leonard, who, by the way, that's just an interesting story in its own right. Transferring over to Notre Dame, now has to face his former head coach at Duke, Mike Elko, who is now at Texas A&M. That's a headline for you right there, but regardless of that, I think Riley Leonard is going to do great things for this Notre Dame offense this season. Again, when he was healthy, throughout his career at Duke, he was really good. So if he can stay healthy for the Irish, he's going to be a very good quarterback for this Irish offense. And again, this wide receiver room is much like the running back room, still pretty young. Jordan Faison, Jaden Greathouse, Jaden Thomas, they all are fairly young players. Faison and Greathouse are both true sophomores, while Jaden Thomas a little bit more experienced, a redshirt junior, but they did bring in a lot of senior transfers through the portal. Bo Collins is a huge addition coming in through the portal. You also add Chris Mitchell from FIU. Jaden Harrison is coming in as well. There's just going to be a lot of talent. The wide receiver room is going to be excellent for Notre Dame this year. And I think that is absolutely going to be one of the keys to watch here because, again, this run game, while they might not have the pieces they did on the offensive line, we'll come back to that point in a little bit, by the way. I think Leonard and this wide receiver room are going to be absolutely outstanding. And the Aggie defensive back room needs to prove themselves. It was a pass defense last year that, albeit did have some pretty good moments, but saw a lot of inconsistency and is going to be having some pretty new faces come into this team here as well. In the secondary, you get BJ Mays, Trey Jones, and Will Lee all coming in through the portal, while Tyreek Chappell and Bryce Anderson return. It's just an overhaul in this defensive back room, and they really are going to need to find ways to prove themselves here in this game, especially again against Riley Leonard, who's an outstanding quarterback, and the wide receiver room, who again I think is going to be really good. But you'd heard me mention a couple times there that Notre Dame has lost a lot of key offensive linemen from last year, and then even into this year, there are a couple guys that went down with injury. Again, I'm still blanking on his name. I apologize for that. But the battle in the trenches are going to be the big factor because Texas A&M has a phenomenal pass rush, 42 sacks forced last season, and welcome Nick Scowerton to this team. The edge rusher from Purdue last year, who was outstanding, flew under the radar, is now going to be in the national spotlight, and he's just going to be simply sensational. I think he's going to have a fantastic season, who will lead this Texas A&M pass rush that I think is going to be able to get home quite a bit back to Riley Leonard. Notre Dame, I think, is still going to have a pretty good offensive line this season. Marcus Freeman and company is just going to be able to develop this offensive line talent to be where it needs to be. But as good as it was last year, no. And again, good enough to hold up against this Aggie pass rush in moments, yes, but in other moments, the Texas A&M defense is going to force Notre Dame into second and longs, third and longs in these uncomfortable situations to make Riley Leonard air the ball out deep. That's going to be a huge factor to watch here. How does Notre Dame fill in pieces on the offensive line against this Aggie pass rush? Because even though there weren't that many turnovers forced by the Aggie defense last year, they will get you with those sacks. That pass rush is inevitable. It will get home at some point. Notre Dame has to be able to limit its damage as much as possible. When you dive on into talking about things to watch out for when now Texas A&M has the ball, I'm just going to tell you my first key right away. It's up to Connor Wigman to recover from his injury last season and take that next step. Again, he had that foot injury last year, but he is one of the better under the radar quarterbacks in the nation that we have. And when he is going, I mean, this Texas A&M offense is just really, really good. Pairing with him, Le'Veon Moss is back there in that running back room. His wide receivers, Noah Thomas, Ja'Day Walker, Cyrus Allen, and Jacob Bostic. The latter two I just said there come in through the transfer portal. And a lot of other really good players. Moose Muhammad's a redshirt senior that's seen a lot of football, and he's going to be a really good player for him this year. The offensive line fills in some pieces through the transfer portal there as well. Offensive line that wasn't that great last year. And the thing with this Aggie offense is, look, you're now moving into the Mike Elko system. He did have Riley Leonard last year. Connor Wigman, going to be a little bit of a different player when you compare him to that of Riley Leonard, but Wigman definitely has the tools necessary to take that step in the right direction. And if he can develop and especially show off his full skill set in its best way in this game right here, I mean, Texas A&M is going to have that much more chance to pull off what, again, would be considered an upset to some, not an upset to many. We'll talk more about why that might be later. But this Notre Dame defense is just going to be simply sensational. It was last year, only allowed 4.4 yards per play, under 300 yards per game. It was one of the best defenses in the entire nation. It forced turnovers. It got back to the quarterback, and it's going to be sensational again. You heard me raving about their linebackers last year. I mean, we can rave about them even more this year. Jack Kaiser, Drake Bowen, Jaden Osbury. They're going to be guys that are going to be really good. Jordan Bothello, who's going to play the Viper position for him this year. I mean, guys that just are going to be really, really good. They got some phenomenal talent there on that defensive front as well. Howard Cross, Riley Mills, RJ Oben is a transfer coming into the program. Those are three graduates, by the way, that are going to be leading that defensive line. And their secondary is just going to be one of the best in the country. Benjamin Morrison is one of the best lockdown corners that we have in college football. Jordan Clark is a transfer coming into play nickel. And you have other guys like Xavier Watts, Christian Gray. I mean, this defense is loaded top to bottom. And sure, while there were a couple things that you'd like to see improve upon from last year into this year, this defense is going to be absolutely outstanding. Again, the Irish defense is fantastic, but the one battle I do want you to watch watch for is, again, as Wigman tries to take that step to the next level. I think Texas A&M is going to have their moments where they'll be able to run the football on Notre Dame, but more often than not, it'll be up to Wigman in this passing game to really be able to drive this offense. Well, the Aggie wide receiver group versus the Notre Dame defensive back group, I think is the battle to watch here when Texas A&M, when the offense is on the field, because to me, you have a really talented group of Aggie wide receivers. And yes, you lost Evan Stewart, a couple other pieces. There's still a lot of talent there. You have a really good quarterback in Wigman, and the Notre Dame defensive backfield is one of the best we have in the country. I absolutely can't wait to watch that battle take place because I think, again, that's just going to be a simply sensational matchup to watch. When I've went ahead and explained my reasoning before, but kind of leading into my prediction a little bit here. Look, Texas A&M is going to have moments where they're going to be able to run the ball. Notre Dame's going to have some defensive lapses here, and this Texas A&M team, especially if Connor Wigman is everything as advertised, if not even a little bit more, Texas A&M is going to hang well within this game, and they would anyway. I think Texas A&M has got what it takes to come close in this game and maybe even to win it. But I think the Notre Dame defense is simply too good. I think they got a lot of good pass rushers. The secondary is going to be one of the best in the entire country here. If Texas A&M wants to win this game, they have to limit that pass rush, and the wide receivers have to go up and make plays. 50-50 balls are more likely than not going to be won by Benjamin Morrison and some of the other guys in the secondary. It's up to the Aggie wide receiver room to flip. What I am thinking right now, they got to go up and win some of those 50-50 balls. But you've kind of heard me spoil the prediction a little bit already. Tell you where you can watch this one. It's on ABC, ESPN Plus, the primetime game. Again, College Game Day is going to be there. Just an absolutely sensational game. Again, just simply can't wait to watch this game. Again, 7:30 p.m. I just wanted to throw that in there for you guys. A&M is the 3-point favorite here, which I don't think is crazy at all because I still like this Aggie team, and I think they're going to see success this year. I expect Wigman to take a step in the right direction. The Aggie pass rush is going to be lethal again, and it definitely could be lethal here to the Irish, and it's going to get home sometimes to put the Irish in a couple bad spots. But I think this Irish defense is up to the task. I think Marcus Freeman will defeat Mike Elko, and the Notre Dame Fighting Irish win a nail-biter. And I mean a nail-biter, guys. I think this is going to be an absolutely sensational contest, but I got the Irish winning this one 23-20. So the under hitting for me, I do like Notre Dame to win this contest. I just think this is going to be a fantastic defensive-led game. You have Riley Leonard versus Connor Wigman. I think it's going to be an interesting quarterback battle to watch as well, but I think Notre Dame has a little more talent in the wide receiver room, and I think the defense overall is just better. The defensive back room is going to be able to not necessarily lock down, but be able to contain the Aggie wide receivers a little bit better than the Aggie secondary will be able to, as again, I told you, it is looking to prove itself this season and get some consistency. And again, that defensive front for Notre Dame, along with the secondary, I think will get home a little too much. While the Aggie pass rush does get home, Notre Dame does a little too much defensively to help them win this game. And I got the Irish on top. But this is going to be a sensational one. Wouldn't surprise me to see the Aggies win, and I want to know what you guys think in the comment section down below. But as always, remember to play hard but tailgate harder. Let's talk a little Georgia Clemson in my next video. Goodbye.